Hi everyone. Good evening. I am Sakshi, and all of you already know Pariti. So both of us, with you, we have united so that we can, we can understand this topic about mental health, especially in the workplace. And this is the theme of today's mental health day. The theme that AP has decided, which is prioritizing mental health at work. And it reminds us that it is very important to create a space where everyone feels safe and supported in discussing their mental health well-being. So I welcome all of you, and I'm very thankful that all of you have come here today. You've given your time, and you will be giving us your insights and perspectives about how is mental health being affected in the workplace. And yeah, your experiences can be both positive and negative, and that experiences those experiences that you will be sharing would be helping us better understand and support and create a space where people can share what they have been going through. So let's start this meaningful discussion, and I want all of you to be very open and honest so that we can better understand things. Pari, go ahead.
Yeah. So, okay, first let's start with understanding how long have you guys been working in an organization and of like what is your field and domain, and how has your work environment impacted your mental health or well-being, and it can be both positive or negative. So anyone who would like to go first?
Okay, I can start maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
My name is Marushka, and I have been I've been working for around a year now, more than a year. And before that, I have also interned at few places. So I have interned at few of startups, and currently I'm working in a big MNC. If I were to say that, how workplace has or work environment has maybe affected my mental health, I think workplace plays a very important role. Why? Because we spend I think half of or more than half of a day there, and if it's in location, or whether it's hybrid, or whether it's virtual because of new working styles, I think everything affects your mental health. If I were to share one example, maybe not in my current organization, but in past, in one of the startups that I had worked, I think there I feel the environment was not so great in terms of the management. And I feel if the management or the manager with whom you are working with is not as doesn't give you an opportunity to grow, doesn't understand your perspective, I think that is also something that affects your mental health. And it had affected me so much that I, at a point, like I think midway, I was like, I just want to leave this organization because I don't feel like working here anymore. Even though I know I'm good at my work, my quality of role was actually nice, to be honest. But I just felt that this is not something I want to continue. And it's not that I haven't worked prior to this, but this is something, the maybe the way the person is talking to me, or maybe the way they are taking up my suggestions is not the right way to go ahead. So I feel somewhere, the uh, somewhere manager or the person or the team that you're working with, those are the people that create the environment. However, company culture in all should be monitored. And okay, so I completely forgot, so I work in the HR space itself, and I feel that HR is one of the main pillars wherein they can actually help in building that environment. And if the HR space itself is not that safe to work, or something like that, then I feel there is something wrong, and a restructuring is required. So that is my basic take on my experience, my prior experience.
Thank you so much. Anyone else would like to go about it?
I can go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've had like 2 years, more than 2 years of experience now working, like after I started working professionally and started pursuing my career. I'm in marketing basically. Uh, so little bit about my recent switch. I've just transitioned from my previous company where I was working for around 2 years to a new company. Both have been startups, by the way. I've not had any experience working with any MNC. So just to kind of give you a little bit brief, I transitioned from the role of project management to marketing. uh, there's a very stark difference in my previous organization as compared to where I work now. Both are startups, very early age again. Both are working on future technology. Uh, but in my previous organization, there was uh, there was not much of a safe space to talk about any issues. It was a very hierarchical sort of a organization. It like they cared a lot about who's on the top, and you're supposed to listen to them. If even if you have an opinion, you're supposed to like justify it in the most random and not very productive ways. So there I felt like it was not your opinions were basically not valued. You were only valued if you, let's say, were very close to or the trusted ones with the higher management or the senior most people. As compared to where I work now, it has been comparatively a positive experience. However, the work stresses a lot, uh, like extended hours and everything. But in terms of culture, in terms of being able to have open conversations, it is a much better place to work in. I've been here for 3 months in my current organization, and whatever issues I've had, if I felt like some team member is trying to put me down, I've been given that space to go and confront that person or go to someone I trust in the organization and talk about it, and they have this whole uh, process wherein they ensure that you can uh, talk to the person who you're feeling not very comfortable working or communicating with, and they sort of push you or push the other person to sort out your differences, give each other constructive feedback, and work on it. So yeah, that has been my overall experience so far.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else who would like to share? Or otherwise, I would also just like to ask that have there ever been times where you've been felt overwhelmed with the work environment that you guys are in? And like what contributed to that feeling, or how did it like affect your mental health overall?
So okay, I can go next, maybe. Okay, so hi, I'm Kshitij. So it's been 2 years I've been working in corporate now after my college actually, and for the first 2 years I was in this company which was kind of a startup and an MNC, but kind of a confusing one. Okay. So yeah, so I was there, and my issue was a little bit different. I was underwhelmed by work. Okay, I was not overwhelmed. So the issue that happened over there was the bench time. So when you're in a service based company, so you have some bench time when you're not in projects, right? So that bench time was constantly increasing. So that was my most of my concern was around that bench time. And although my role was decent, like it's not like like my aspirational role, but yeah, it was decent. I was liking it in the first year of my job. And then that bench time came for like 2 months. I was on bench, no meetings for the day. nothing. Just like in work life balance, there was only life, no work. Okay. Although the money was coming in, but I guess that was not what I wanted, and that was that was pretty much frustrating actually. And when you know that you're not going anywhere, just staying somewhere or the other, and just those thoughts pop up in your head, ki, okay, if I'll go into another interview, they'll ask what you did, and I'll be like, nothing. I did nothing. So that was a problem for me. So yeah. So after that, like after 1 year of after 1 year of experience, I started looking for another opportunities, and I started learning new tech. And I always wanted to go on the business side, so more on the analytics and the business side both. So I pursued there, and it took me around 4 months to get a new job. And that job market was pretty bad, everyone knows that. Like from last December till March, April. So we have a HR, so she also might know that. So yeah. And that was pretty hard. And after, when I shifted to the new company, there was tons of work. Okay, so I was not used to that much of work on me. And theek hai, so I pretty much adjusted to that. But I'm more okay with more work than no work. Okay, so I can push 1 2 hours more in that 9 hours of the work we do in a day. But like doing 1 hour worth of work in a day is not what I wanted. So yeah, that's what the issue I faced.
I think I would like to add on that I face a similar issue. Like I think I can relate a lot to it because like I worked hardly for 7 8 months after my masters from UK, and I did an internship. And the kind of work I was doing, it was basically like nothing challenging, no work. And when you're initially out in the market to like work, you're quite excited and overwhelmed. You want to learn more and you want to give everything to it. So I think even for me, I think being underwhelmed by the work and having no work to do, and I think exactly like what to कि अगर next job होगा and what do I say कि क्या काम क्या, I don't know what work I did. So I think that also affected or impacted my mental health a lot in terms of doubting my own skills or abilities as well. So I think I relate to it a lot.
Yeah, actually, kind of adding on to that, I would also completely agree that, there are two spectrums, and both the spectrums are not great in terms of, if there is no work, or maybe, just 1 or 2 hours of work. I have also faced that. So it's like, as you mentioned, and it actually, rather, especially when the market is not that great, and that, you are maybe not happy with the current role and you want to switch, there are extra things coming to your mind because you don't have something to prove that, I have this skill, I have acquired this, I've done this much of work. And side by side, the market is also not great, as you mentioned, so it just kind of adds on in terms of that, what's happening, how do we do that. So I feel somewhere, like, if I were to boil down to like 2 or 3 things that majorly affect, one is definitely the quality of role that all of us do in our respective fields, and second, for sure, at least personally for me, the team, because a sense of belonging also, kind of is very important in terms of maintaining your mental health, maybe good or bad, both. Like, it can affect you, like, in a bad way or in a good way.
I was actually taking out my frustration in the meetings, in the global meetings that were happening in the MNC, in my last MNC. And when I left, I don't know how many of the people had this kind of an experience. My manager said, "I'm happy for you." When I just resigned, I put my resume, not my resume, sorry, my
Resignation.
resignation letter in, and he was like, "I'm happy for you. I won't stop you." I had a 3 month notice period. My manager helped me out to get out of that in 1 month. Although at that point of time I was in a project.
Yeah.
You would definitely be looking at those kind of managers for sure. That's on the list.
He actually knew how frustrated I was over there. And matlab, in between, there were 2 3 instances that I took out my frustration on him. So he was pretty much considerate to listen to me at least. But yeah. So I was looking out for ways so that they can fire me. So yeah.
And I'll share one of my experiences. So I was interning, okay, very young. So I was like, ठीक है जितना काम कर सकती हूँ, जितना सीख सकती हूँ, I will do that. So I was doing college, and I was also into two internships. Okay, so being more enthusiastic, I'll try and find another one. Just I was teaching side by side. I was also teaching, so there were 4 jobs basically. I was looking for the 5th one, so I'd gone to a psychologist, and he interviewed me. He's like, "You're very young to work," and I was like, "Sir, you can interview me if you feel I don't have that kind of skill or knowledge. You can just say it." And he interviewed. He's like, "Yeah, you're a good candidate," and then he started talking about real things. He's like, आपको यहाँ पे आना है, you'll have to work under my supervision, and I'll be giving you clients, so on and so forth. And then he started talking about, we might, get and meet outside the company a lot of times, to hold discussions with other psychologists. And to me, it was pretty fine at the ठीक है बाहर जाके discussion करना है when people are at different places in the same city, you don't get to meet at a single point. So you find a common point and you get to meet them. So it's like, I was like, okay, fine, we'll think about it when I join. And then he started talking about kya karte ho, and what are your domains and stuff like that. So we were leaving the office, and then he said that, because you're holding these kind of jobs, you're already into 4 jobs. I believe when you'll join this, you'll be depressed. And I'm like, sir, you have it written. You'll see me somewhere at a good place, but definitely not depressed. And he was very offended, and I just left. But then I realized that people do not or cannot see you at places. They try to push you down, and that's when I realized that I'm not supposed to work at this place for sure. At least with somebody who at the very beginning says कि आप depressed हो जाओ.
To be honest, in my current company, like we have town halls and people come and they're like, and they're like, HR holds these questions. Okay, so the lead HR comes and they hold these questions, which are asked by the employees to the employees, and the employees have these kind of questions like, we are not getting time for our own life. We are not able to give time to our children and all. And our HR's reply is, कोई बात नहीं. We competition सर पे है. I am quoting him. Competition सर पे है. We can't let the competition go ahead. छुट्टियां दी है, छुट्टियां लो, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, काम करना पड़ेगा.
Ayush, Dhanashree, I guess you haven't had anything yet to say, but we'd love to hear what you have, as Dhruv as well. What you guys have had in your working setting. How was it?
So hi, I'm Tanushree. By the way, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm working since like 2 years in MNC, and it's pretty, I would say, normal. Like sometimes it is very overwhelming because of the work pressure and the hours we work in. We have to work overtime most of the days. And in terms of overwhelming, or I would mostly it would affect mental health for me. Mainly, it was because of the team. Few people maybe were not that welcoming, or like what how to put it in a good word, like they were not basically not that welcoming. And like the speech and all, basically we can see the person how it's talking and their body language or something, so that basically affected me. And also because of that, it impacts your work and you tend to overthink. So that there was a phase in my corporate time that I had faced because of this. Like there are few months where it was very overwhelming for me. And then pretty much like my manager and all are chill, but then again, it's you can't say कि, okay, I don't want to work on this topic or something like that. But then again, we have to remove time for ourselves. We have to prioritize. But yeah, that was it was kind of overwhelming. Few things. I've not figured out a way how should I balance it out, but maybe in few I will like get it.
So I would like to mention something, and I think uh, most of us will be able to relate. I don't know. I think most of us would be able to relate. Something that I have personally gone through is when you work at a startup, and especially for people who are just, like not that experienced, just entered the corporate like 2 3 years at max. Something that I go through is the kind of constant complex that you have if you're good enough, if you're doing good enough, if you're a keeper for your company, and whether you're irreplaceable, and that constant pressure kind of keeps you want to keep doing more, but at the cost of your health and like mental health, and that balance that we all, I think, seek to achieve. So that's something that I've been experiencing, and especially because I'm in a very highly competitive environment. Like people who are like 2021 are working in my company as interns, and they're already just doing so much better, and that puts that kind of pressure, and it wants me to be that overachieving person and stay long hours, do everything by myself, and prove that I'm irreplaceable basically. So, and that has costed me quite a bit of breakdowns, to be very honest. And I don't know how to tackle with it. So if anyone here would like to share their own ways of tackling this pressure, I'd be happy to hear that.
I think of what you just said, Nupur, I think it kind of comes from a sense of insecurity as well, like in all of us, that, we just want to prove ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's better now. Yeah. That, like all of us want to prove ourselves because of the environment that we are in. It's so dynamic, and recently, quite recently, there had been so many layoffs, and nobody of us want to be in that situation, right? And you are absolutely right. All of us kind of compromise on our maybe not only mental health but also physical health in a lot of ways, just because I want to be better than my colleague, and I want my team to know that I am better. Maybe I have seen my colleagues skipping on meals just so that they can, be there and in front of their managers, and so that they know that, they have worked, even if they are maybe not working. Sometimes I have seen those kind of scenarios as well. In terms of kind of how to tackle it, I feel one, like if I were to share one of the very recent instances, since I also work with interns who are in my organization, I recently and I manage internships, right? So one of them had written to me that I am feeling extremely pressurized. I feel that I'm not doing my work properly. Could you like help me in terms of I am very lost, I am not able to do this. I feel I'm just wasting on this opportunity to be a part of this organization. I set up some time with that intern, and I had a conversation to tell them and maybe share certain experiences of mine as well, because since I'm also like been in the corporate just for around a year or so, so I have also interned. So I shared with that person that I interned here, it's okay. Even if you may not get a final position here, it's absolutely all right. That doesn't mean that you are not worth it, or that you don't have talent. It's a possibility that the skill that you're currently working it may not be something that you are best at, but you can definitely work out, look for other opportunities within the organization, network, understand. So maybe having or reaching out to someone you feel you can confide in within the organization. It could be a team member, it could be a manager. For interns, like we do manage interns, so we are their go-to people, and we are kind of trained and told on how to deal with these situations. So because that depends from organization to organization, I would say. So I think that could be a way to or maybe someone who has had a similar experience. It could be a friend from other organization. I think that could be a way to at least have a different perspective.
Um,
Hello.
okay, so we all. Yeah, Ayush, go.
Go ahead, Pari. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead now, please.
I'll talk. You can continue and then I'll.
Huh.
So I'm going to pick a couple of things from what everyone said. I think Nupur mentioned how to make yourself irreplaceable, and Dhanishri mentioned how to find the work-life balance. So I don't have a direct answer to both of these questions, but I think I'll share my perspective on it. And so I'll give a brief about myself. I work as a software developer at a fintech startup. I've been working here since 4 years, and it's been a roller coaster of emotions over here. It's a startup, so you can imagine the work life that we're talking about, as well as the getting overwhelmed by work and the pressure which comes along. But I think definitely what Nupur said, if you are able to, I don't know how exactly you do that, but if you are actually able to do it, it gets easier. Like that's my personal experience. If you are able to make yourself, I'm not really replaceable. I mean, I don't think I'm irreplaceable, but I do think that at this stage of point at this company, I'm a very important asset to my company. So the sooner that my manager and my CTO and my company realized that, the easier it has gotten for me. So once I reached that stage, I did find a lot more balance in my work and life, and it wasn't like that always. I've done very long working hours in the first couple of years, first 2 maybe 3 years, and but once you do prove yourself, I think once people, your manager and your team in general starts trusting you, uh, it gets very easy, and you don't self-doubt yourself for that much because you have the trust of your manager. So plus what also uh, Marshukla said about physical health also being as important to mental. Yeah, I think I've slacked on that in the first couple of years when I was working. And I mean, definitely, this is something that I've improved a lot in the last 1.5 years. And there is no way I'm ever compromising on that part again. So irrespective of what working hours I have, or irrespective, like it could be that some days my days are really long, but I will definitely make it a point to do some sort of physical activity in the evening, at least on alternate days. And I wouldn't want to break it because it's not just the physical health; it allows me to refresh, to reset, and to just put my work aside and just not constantly think about work. So I think everyone should find a way to switch off their work mind, and once they leave their workspace, or if you're working from home, it's you need to find that you can't constantly be thinking about that. And because I was that kind of a person who used to do that in the starting, I didn't have a very clear separation, and I didn't have proper lines between when my work side is done and when I am on the other side. But I have worked on it and I have improved that, and all of these changes that I've made in the last 1.5 year. So things have gotten a lot better. Uh, yeah.
I have something to ask. When you said that you had rough couple of years initially,
Yeah.
how did you decide that it's not the time to leave, or it's not yet that overwhelming that it's taking a toll on you? And what's that thin line where you decide कि नहीं छोड़ना है, या this is a time for me to adjust or push myself a little more, or get used to the work environment, or where do you know that it's becoming real toxic now?
So, matlab, I'm not sure if this is a good answer or not, but my plan was that this is how things will be until I prove myself. तो जब मैंने प्रूव कर दिया, जब I felt I've done enough and I've proved myself, and जब I could see my manager and my team and my CTO trusting me, and I felt that now they know that what I bring to the table. तो उसके बाद I found that balance अपने आप. But this was initially, matlab, my case was a little different because I'm a dropout, so I had to prove myself initially to my CTO and my team in general. So my company had taken a very big bet on me. So that was a big thing. So because of that, I put in everything I had in the initial couple of years, and I'm not sure if that's a good way to take things head on, but that's what I did. And after I after that period, I haven't had to go to those extremes again. There are times and periods where I do have to stretch, but it's not the same as the first couple of years. If that answers your question. You are on mute if you're saying
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. So that's what me and Paridi were discussing even before, we thought of meeting. And when we were discussing a lot of cases, we were trying to find an answer as to what's uh, what are employees looking for in the company, or what are they expecting out of themselves. When you are into a company where it stretches a lot out of you, you don't have time for yourself.
Right,
You are
right.
completely in a scenario where you feel that you have lost most of it, and you still continue to be very loyal to that company, very loyal to your manager, to your teammate.
Right, but I'd like to add on to that. It's not just that me being loyal to my manager and my company, because my mindset was that why I've come to Bangalore to work for this company is because I wanted to prove myself. So it was more for me than for anyone else, and that is why, I mean, maybe this way of handling and wanting to prove myself is a little toxic, but uh, that's the mentality that I had on day one. So I wanted to go about it this way. I wanted to stretch, and it's not for anyone else but for myself. So it never felt that I was doing it for someone else, or I was doing it against my wish. I wanted to do it. So that's, I think, a very big differentiation, because I don't think everyone is willing to put in those hours. I don't think everyone wants to work for weekends for companies. But initially, with me, that was not the case. I came to Bangalore to do that. I wanted to learn. So that might have made it a bit easier. And I didn't have those negative thoughts in the initial uh, time. But again, there are negatives, because I do feel whoever works more gets more work as well. I mean, this is something that I have personally gone through. Like, I do more work, I get appreciated for that. But then again, I get more work, and people who slack, they might, like, of course, there are consequences, but it's always that people who do more work keep on doing more work, and people who are not, I mean, they either leave or they're always at that stage. That's one negative that I found. No matter what I did, I always used to get more work done instead of like getting a breather.
Yeah.
So
So, yes, I think also looking for, like, really happy to know your experience as well and the insights that you shared. But also, like, since there's so many, we hear so many about big fours and MNCs and their toxic work culture, which is again spreading. And I think we all also know about the Anna Sebastian's case for EY wala. So usme we were just also wanted to look for the answers. Ki what do you guys think are the reasons that people stay in a toxic work culture? Like, what could be the potential reasons that, even though they're sacrificing so much of their physical health, they're sacrificing so much of their mental well-being, not able to spend time with their family. So what reasons are there that people stay in the toxic work culture, and how do you decide when it's the time to leave, or make the right decision at the right time before we lose another life again due to that?
Mm, I'd like to say something on that. I might not be completely correct, okay, on this part, but what I feel with the current scenario is like we see how many people are not working at this point of time along with working, okay. So first of all, there are responsibilities on people. Not everyone has responsibilities, and a lot of them has responsibilities. There are kind of people. So jin pe responsibilities, those who don't have that much of responsibility, they actually can come to matlab they a thought can come in their head of leaving the company, or like leaving a company, and because it's becoming toxic or whatsoever reason it is, or they're not finding the exact job that they want to do or the exact role that they want to do. And the second part is the people who are not able, those who have a lot of responsibilities on themselves, or they have some aspirations that they want to fulfill, and job or money is the only way to do that, okay. For those set of people, a thought will never pop up in their head that they want to leave this company, even if it is becoming very 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 toxic, okay. So, and the second part is that I have seen this culture, or I have seen this thing in specifically in India, I must say, okay, कि if you are not there to work, someone else is there. Someone else, मतलब बैठे हैं लोग, मतलब people are there to work like on your behalf. And this scenario I've seen less in the European countries, where they are like कि we don't want to work after 5, and they have a common opinion about it, okay. And in India, I don't think so people have common opinion about it, okay. And the most of the part of it is कि jobs, but there are pretty less jobs of how much graduates we are producing every year, okay. So this can be a scenario according to me, but I can be wrong at any given time. But matlab I think कि that Anna Sebastian wala case, matlab you should not give up give up your mental health and your physical health. Okay, first of all, matlab you can't leave food for work. That is necessity. That is what you're working for. Okay, the most basic necessity of your life is food. So food and a shelter. So you are working for that. So at least वो चीज fulfill होनी चाहिए. I think that. And if that is not happening, then take some time off. 15-20 minutes, you're not gonna do that much of work in 15-20 minutes. You should just take that time, eat peacefully, go back to work. No worries. So I think कि in that case everything was neglected. Food, mental health, physical
Yeah.
health. मतलब yes, that's what I think.
Also adding on to that, right, there are a couple of scenarios here. So first is the people who have a lot of responsibilities and cannot afford to not have a job. So for them, continuing in a toxic workplace is not an option, but a need or a necessity there, right? And secondly, the second would be like, even if somebody is working, right, and the comfort of getting that amount every month at the end of the month in your bank account is also a very comfortable place to be in. And like Kshitij mentioned, right, so specifically in India, I term it, or most of the people term it as a rat race, right? So if you want to, like Nupur also mentioned, ki she works more hours compared to others. So that is, see, we have been brought up in a way that, you have to be competitive, or else, it's not a good thing. Sometimes, although I think it is doing of our own thinking, but most of the times, yeah, it is the case that you have to prove yourself first, and once that you've proved that you're an asset, then it's a very different thing, right? So for me, how it was, I joined this firm 24 25 months back. And surprisingly, it is very different from all the experiences that people have shared, right? So I think I'm very fortunate that I work at a company who focuses equally on mental health as much as on your regular work. I haven't heard from other people that we actually have yoga sessions, meditation sessions. Plus, we also have a subscription for Headspace, and they promote mental well-being. So that is something very which was very surprising. But also, I think people are realizing Okay, the big four is a very different thing, but I think other institutions are understanding the importance of mental health, and a couple of HRs, right? Our India HR head basically mentioned that nowadays people are also okay to work at a lower pay compared to others if the if the culture is really good. So in our firm, right? So the culture is very positive, and definitely there have been weeks where I've worked 14 hours a day, but there have also been weeks where only worked 4 or 5 hours a day. So there are both extremes, but on an average, right, it is a normal work day. Obviously, mostly it is more than what they ask you to do. But the good thing about that is, if you work extra, so the managers say that okay, you've worked extra, so you can take a compensatory leave the next week, or when you have you don't have as much load as that week. uh, Additionally, then I don't know how, but the firm meant like the firm kind of gives a very non-Indian feeling, if I say so, because the people here, definitely everyone is competitive, but the thing here is that no one is trying to cut each other to go up the chain, right? I think the processes are also good, but the thing is, somehow they've managed to maintain that culture, which is very positive. And one of the most like interesting and positive thing which I saw recently was that because I'm transitioning from one team to another within the bank, and it is a completely different vertical. I thought that my manager would be a little negative and would be like, "Arey, don't go." Not like not he'll try to stop the move or something of that sort. But when I told him the first time, he was like, "Arey, don't feel guilty. Go. It's your aspirational thing, so I won't stop you." And he also mentioned a couple of things, right? Because I've been working in this team for a long while, so he said that if you go, the team would break. But even despite that, he did not stop the move, and he approved the move for me to transition. So I think that's pretty good in the current firm that I work. And yeah, it's very different from everyone here, but yeah, I think it's one of the rare cases, especially in India. And just to add there, right, I think European European firms, or firms outside America and not based in India, are firms who actually pay attention to mental health. So I know a couple of firms from Europe, from Australia, and a couple of places who actually focus on mental health, and they keep it standard throughout the firm and not only in the country of origin they are in. So yeah, that's more or less what I have experienced. Very different, but yeah, that's what.
So I would like to add something here. So the scenario is changing a lot across a lot of firms, what I have observed. Like for example, where I work here currently also, right, the focus on mental health is a lot. But for you to be new to that organization, it takes a little bit time to open up. There's everything. There have been like they introduce different initiatives. Like for example, we have 1 hour blocked every day on our calendar with different initiatives. Like we have a art club, we have a yoga club, we have a Zen Minds club. So all these initiatives are taken, it started by the people who work there, the team itself, and whoever's interested in whatever initiative, they go to the specific sessions, they attend that, they do what they love for an hour, and just get their mind off work for an hour. So in terms of initiatives, I will agree that a lot of companies are coming up with a lot of things that can put the employees and the people working there at ease. But yeah, as I said, the real challenge is to kind of get over your own insecurities and your own fear, of not being good enough.
Yeah, and to add on there, right? So as Nupur mentioned, there are a lot of companies who are doing this. So I particularly know one more company, which is an Indian startup, and they have such amazing HR policies. Like for example, one of them is that if somebody has booked a meeting with you, it is mandatory to give a very brief about the meeting. If you don't, you're fined. Okay. Secondly, if anybody has booked a call with you and they're not joining within 5 to 10 minutes of the call, again they're fine. So there, people respect each other's time and also respect the like boundaries that they have. So there are many more companies who are coming up with this kind of things. But I still feel majority of the companies or firms in India still have a toxic work culture. Obviously it depends on team to team, even within the firm, but yeah, I think more or less it's still a very toxic workplace.
Yeah, just to kind of add on, like in terms of, I actually resonate with what Drav mentioned. Like my current organization also, I feel it's great in terms of any kind of, creating a work-life balance for their employees because of maybe understanding people and extremely inclusive culture in a lot of ways. In terms of initiatives as well, they have a lot of initiatives, be it, kind of an employee assistance program where they have, like, even in office on a floor they do have a counselor sitting like all day, and you can block some time if you want, or you could do a call service, like if you're not comfortable going like in office, you can definitely book it online or through a call, etc. However, I feel even though like we, like maybe few of us have had good experiences in those terms, I would say, some, it's still at the surface that like there are very few who are actually utilizing these policies. Some are just stating that, we have these policies, etc., but these are not actually being used by either the employees, or they are now not being propagated to the employees. As a result, what happens is that maybe it is happening in pockets like within the organization, and like maybe one part of the organization is like extremely toxic and one part is like, oh wow, my organization has this policy, that policy. So I feel somewhere like it penetrates through the, either through the team or the organization has to make sure that it's going through, right? Like one thing is that for sure. Another thing is that, again, certain organizations are just saying that we are doing that, but they're not actually doing these things, which is kind of, kind of a false advertisement, I feel. And I feel really sad about it because I have had friends who, you know like in an MBA college you get, PPTs in terms of pre-placement talks. They pitch you your organization, and then when you enter the organization, it turns out that there is nothing that they do for having a work-life balance, or how it is done. Maybe overworking for a week or maybe for a month, because it's a pressure, like this month is like full of work, etc., is absolutely all right, and I think everybody here would be okay with that. But if it's consistent throughout the year, I don't think that anybody should be okay with it, irrespective of what it is. So yeah.
I guess I'd put one question. All of those who have a positive work culture, it's really good thing. But let's say if you were given an opportunity to do something about mental health at your workplace, one thing that you had all rights, and nobody could stop you for that. What thing you'd like to incorporate? Something that benefits you, something that benefits other people in the company. That one thing you believe should be a part of the organization.
4-day work week.
I don't have anything as of now. Like
I believe you are
I
the
came
most
from nowhere,
employed.
so I am pretty much happy at this point of time. But I do believe this ki, like your work-life balance is a manager thing, not a organization thing. I really believe this. And matlab, touch wood, I have had good managers, and a PP, the person who is my manager is really nice. So this thing happened with me that I am more of a morning person than a night person. Nahi, matlab, not in case of parties and all, but yeah, in case of working, I just need that peace around me. Ki, matlab, it should be silent and I should be working aram se. And what happened with me was when I started over here, it was a little bit overwhelming. So like 12 hours I was pulling every day mostly for first 2 3 weeks actually. So what I did was I just asked my manager ki if you have some work, please, if you have some work, so please give me a next day deadline, not that day deadline. So she said, okay, why do you want to do that? So I was like, ki, I'll wake up in the morning 6 a.m. I'll do my work till 12 1, and I'll finish all my work, and then I can just attend meetings and all. Right. So that will be a very productive thing for me. So now what I do is ki I usually wake up at 6 7. If it's more work, 5. If it's less work, say 7:30 6:30 like that. Okay. So I'll sit, I'll do my work in peace. No one is there to ping me ki do this also, do this also, do this also. So I do that 12 12:30 the I'm finished with all my work, most of it. If I have some doubts, then I go into the meetings and all, and then rest of my days goes into meeting only. So that's very productive, and that's what my manager said ki okay, that's fine, no worries with that. So yeah, that was a better thing actually. So that's why I think your work life balance is more of a manager thing, not an organization thing. If your manager is very toxic, if he or she likes to micromanage, then there's nothing that an organization can do. Putting sanctions and putting strict things within the organization is a different thing, but we also have initiatives like chill hours and all these things. Okay, so we have this 1 week in whole quarter where we go to the offices. Okay, and people come around, and the organization HRs just put this big banner over there for every day, 2 hours fixed for roaming around here and there and talking to people. No one does that. No one does that. So that's more of a manager thing at the end of the day, right? So the organization can put efforts, but if your manager or if the team you're working in, they're not ready to do that, then there's no point of talking about it. And even the organization can't restrict it on them because they have some work to do. Like my manager goes through 9 hours of meeting daily. Okay, so she does not have that 2 hours of leverage to just stop by and talk to people and do all the stuff, because that 2 hours will pile up on the next day, right? So that's the thing. So if that can be sorted out in that way, that will be very nice. Otherwise, I really think it's a manager thing, it's a team thing.
Yeah, I agree. But the thing is, definitely it is a manager thing, but it also organization also plays a very big part. Uh,
Yes.
because the thing is, a lot of times, like there is a hierarchy, right? So if a lot of times, if your manager is being chased for something again and again and again, at some point of time it is definitely going to come to you, right? Even if your manager is good or not. So it is also a very big organization thing. But okay, in an organization there can be multiple kinds of people. Obviously there are people who can micromanage, but the thing is, if somebody who micromanages does not have that kind of pressure on his or her head, so at times they might also think like, okay, let it be, because we don't have some strict deadlines, so okay, let's work on our own time. But if somebody is chasing you, right? So okay, if somebody is a micromanager, then you're gone. But even if somebody is a good manager, but someone from the top is chasing and the hierarchy goes on, so it is definitely going to reflect on how your conversation with your manager, or how your relationship with your manager is. There are very few people who can actually abstract, or actually just create a different layer between the hierarchy and yourself. But I think maximum people work on how they are treated, and then they replicate it to others.
So it's a manager and a manager of manager things basically.
तभी तो मैनेजर होगा भाई.
हाँ, वही वो hierarchy चल रही है managers की. It's a vertical thing basically. Kind of. But every organization might have different reasons. There is no one answer to it.
Yeah, and I think just to add on to what both of you mentioned, right? That's why I said that, sometimes things are just happening in pockets. Like, as you mentioned, maybe one vertical, it's not happening in other vertical. So it's very important to kind of, to see that about it. Another thing which I would, maybe I don't know about the organization, but very personal thing which I have adopted from a friend to maintain a good or a maybe decent work life balance is that they have a separate two things. So I am in a hybrid setup, which is like I go to office few days of the week and few days it's work from home. So I have a separate workspace, and like when I'm working from home, I have a separate workspace, and I also have a separate mobile number and phone, that I use for my work. I don't have any things such as maybe an Outlook or a Teams, etc. on my personal mobile. I have all that on my work mobile, and maybe post a certain time, I switch it off. And in the morning, like I have strict hours, like morning certain time to evening certain time I'll be working, and that time it will be, my mobile will be there working, etc. And post that, I just switch it on or put it on flight mode. So even if, otherwise what happens is, if it's on a personal mobile, right, if I receive an email, just out of anxiety, I want to kind of read that mail and reply to it on my mobile itself. And or maybe FOMO, it could also be FOMO, like clearly that, that, oh, I've seen this, okay, ये तो मैं mobile पे ही reply कर दूंगी, तो चलो इसको कर ही देते, let's just close it. I don't want to do that, because then it becomes a habit. So that is why, doing things like this. And somewhere you need to find out what works for you. There is nobody else who can help you in that, and you will have to find out what works for your team or for your manager, as Kshitij also said, right? Like, you'll have to create that rapport with your manager to understand and create your own work life balance, in how you can kind of take care of yourself and your mental health as well.
Okay, so the last question for the day. So, with the work from home culture growing a lot, there are a lot of organizations who are facing a lot of issues as well. Ki, they want people to like report at the office, but there are a lot of employees who are not okay with not having a work from home option at all. So, do you think that it affects the productivity of you, like when you're working from home, or the growth of the organization? Like, does that have a difference?
Growth of a organization is hindered when you work from home.
And the
I-
productivity of an
I-
employee?
The productivity is a different tangent only altogether if you want to go into that. But growth of the company, matlab, I've seen the last company itself, and I'm seeing over here as well that they are also encouraging now that you should come, not forcing it out. Maybe in some time in future will be forcing it on employees. But yes, the matlab, growth of the company, I think there's a strong correlation that if you are face to face and if you're working together, the solutions might come out way easier and faster. So that's basically मतलब वो है मतलब वो they are not related exactly. मतलब your productivity and there might be a chance that if you're sitting there, you might get that solution pretty easier, and if you're sitting at home, you might get that solution in maybe 6 hours, 7 hours. So it's not correlational.
I think there is no generic answer here. Okay? So I know people who work like better at home compared to office, and they say that okay, when we're working from home, बल्कि ज़्यादा काम करवा लेते हैं जब office में होते हैं. And a lot of, and it's a very, for me personally, I'm more productive at the office compared to home. And some people also believe that okay, when you go to office, you meet everyone. There are those chai breaks, there are etc. etc. So okay, you might be at your peak productivity there, but the work done is comparatively lower for some people who work from office. But for me, it's definitely office is more productive compared to home. But yeah, we have good examples here whose productivity is higher at home compared to the office. Kshitij and Dhanashree both.
Yeah, that's me. I personally feel like I'm more productive at home, because since I don't have a team at my base location, just traveling just because it is mandatory to go to office, for me it is pointless, because the same work I'm doing here and I get more exhausted by traveling and all.
Your team should be
But
there. But if you're
yeah,
going to the office,
exactly.
it should be there. If team is there, then it makes more sense. Because what the issue I face is when I started off, I wanted to learn new things also. मतलब क्योंकि यहाँ आए थे तो they have different tech and all these things. So I entered and I had to wait 10-15 minutes for someone to reply. कि okay, let's send a G Meet ka link now, and then we'll have a meeting or a call. And then I have seen this one weird thing. It's only with me or with others. I really don't know if like working sessions on a virtual desktop is a problem. On a virtual setup is a problem. People just want to run off of that meeting and they want to cut that call as soon as possible. Whereas in the office, you can just hold them down as "रुक जा इधर आ." Or you can just run off to their place and like नहीं हो रहा है. So that you can do, right, when you're in the workspace. That's
Yeah,
more easier,
also,
faster.
yeah, more productive, because when you need to collaborate with people, they're just sitting right next to you. Go grab them, get the work done. When people are at home, they can also ignore your Teams messages or Slack messages, etc. And that is what people do, because there is no useful way to say, okay, whether this person is
I have this
actually
very good what she said. I still have Slack open, but
company का नाम दिख जाएगा.
नहीं दिखाया.
I also would like to add something. This is something I've observed in the last few months. When you are working from office, especially when you have a team sitting there, your work becomes more context driven rather than just process oriented. So let's say your team is having a meeting, they decide on a few action items, and then if you're working from home, they'll assign you something. You have zero context what has happened in the meeting, you have zero context what they've spoken about. Why are you the one who's assigned that? As compared to when you're in that space discussing and you exactly have the context on why this is important and why do you need to prioritize this over the other couple of things that you have to do.
I also agree to her.
So
मतलब
it just
I
increases a lot of context and your work output just gets better, I feel, as compared to when you have no clue why are you doing this task and just giving some output which you do not have the exact context of.
I agree with it. I went to the office. I can, matlab, a meeting got over and my manager, my colleagues just walked out, which matlab, I was not a part of that meeting, obviously, at that point of time. So they walked out. I can see their moods are off. I can go and talk to them at that point of time, right? If I'm at home, set up, and then I do that, so that might create a problem for me, I feel like. So yeah, that can just create matlab, random mood off. Matlab,
She said, you just need office gossip. That's nothing else. ये कुछ context का नहीं है.
that also works, no?
See, I think that's why personally I'm someone who is a big fan of hybrid, because it gives you best of both worlds. Like if you want to collaborate, I would say that yeah, I think collaboration ke liye I feel work from office is a better thing to do. But if you go to office, I've seen sometimes you waste a lot of your time, because you go for breakfast with your colleagues, then you go for lunch with your colleagues, then you go for coffee with your colleagues. In all this time, I am actually not working and just maybe having fun chat, which is also important, I would say, for a refresher or something. But still, I would say that if there's a lot of work, I prefer doing it from home sometimes, because it gives you that zen mode, and then I'm just focused on my work and I just complete everything in maybe less amount of time. Another thing is, I personally don't like traveling, especially being stuck in traffic and being in a metro city. I just don't like it at all. And rains also I don't like I'm in Mumbai, so there rains, otherwise it's okay. So that's why hybrid is something that I really like. If there is an organization, I would say, who says that you have to come to office 5 days a week, I don't think I would opt for that opportunity. Very personal opinion. If someone says that it's completely remote, that also I may not agree to. So like hybrid is something that I am comfortable with.
So if I'm not wrong, your problem can be sorted out with a driver and a car, right?
If the organization provides it, maybe. Not personal then, matlab.
But still, right? Yeah, she's living in Mumbai. Traveling in Mumbai takes 3
Yeah,
hours.
exactly. I mean, like going from point A to point B, even if it's like 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers, you are going to take half an hour, which is like waste of your time. You
Pari,
cannot walk
ये तो
3.5
बोल रही है.
kilometers always.
Matlab, I don't
The
think
roads are not
for 2
suitable.
kilometers it takes half an hour, but yeah, it does take a lot of time. Like, I think from South Bombay to suburbs it takes a lot of time. But I think
No. I would like to disagree with you here because I travel every day 3.5 kilometer. It takes me half an hour because morning time is when everybody is going to office and there is peak traffic.
3.5 is okay.
Pari, you
3.5
haven't
that
traveled
is
in
too
by peak traffic, so
No, I'm not saying that area could be different.
obviously.
I was stuck in Bangalore in a traffic. I had to just cross one road. I was standing there on the signal for 45 minutes on a
Yeah.
scooty.
Yeah. Even Bangalore, I have interned in Bangalore. Thankfully, my work, like the place where I was living was just walking distance. I remember it used to take like 10 minutes walk. One day there was traffic and walking में ही मेरे को like 15 minutes लग गया because cars इतनी packed थी like throughout the road. There was no space to walk also. That was a very funny issue that I faced in Bangalore. So better Mumbai is better in that sense, like for traffic, I would say.
not a fan of traveling as well. Like, I do
Yeah.
not like it at all. But
And
yeah.
after enrolling in the current university, it's like way too bad.
Yeah. Like,
And I feel it's a waste of time. Like you're wasting like so much of your time doing nothing. So that sometimes like gets on my nerves, especially in the evening. Maybe morning my meeting starts a little late, but in the evening I'm like, yeah, I'm just stuck here. I have to go back home and maybe do something. Or just for an example, if I'm living alone, I have to prepare my dinner, and otherwise I'm extremely hungry, and in that case I just order, like a very simple problem. But I'm like, I want to reach early so that I can make dinner on time, just an example. So that's why I don't like traveling as well.
And my issue would be like I'll be okay traveling to office if at all my office is getting over by 7 and then I don't have to work. But in my case, the working hours are so different that I have to travel, then again I have to work, and again for the traveling, those 2 hours which I've spent, I have to work the pending, like the whatever the work is pending, I have to work on that as well. So it's like more work for me. So that is the case.
yeah.
Also, I think it also depends on the phase of life you are in, Sanjay. By phase of life I mean, so for an example, I have a colleague who has a family, right? She has a child. She has to take her child to, maybe, I don't know, some tuition or something. So she was like, if she has that facility of having a hybrid culture, so on the days she's working from home, she can help her child to drop to the tuitions and then just come back, even if it's downstairs, like in her society, but because her child is so small. So I think somewhere that also depends, like what are your preferences. That is what I have at least seen around me in my current organization, that the phase of your life can also actually affect, like in terms of what would be your preference.
That's so true. So thank you all of you for taking the time out and supporting us and providing your experiences and learnings from this. And yes, I think we really got to learn a lot about it. And we were so this idea was also started because when we were discussing about mental health at workplace, which is the theme this year, there were a lot of questions which arise, and we were like, the best kind of like to know is people who are working in the field, people who are facing probably either the positive work culture or the negative work culture, and we just wanted like a fresh perspective on it. So thank you so much for the support and your time. We
And
really
to add on, you don't even had to ask a lot of questions. They had answered a lot of it flow mein, so time saved, yeah.
thank you so much.
No, but this is great, guys. This is a great initiative. Even if we come here once a week and talk and just rant about things, I think it will already help us with, dealing with the work-life balance issue that somewhere we're going through. But anyway, great initiative. Keep, including us in all your initiatives. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop in. If I have any questions, I'll feel free to drop in as well.
Thank you so much. That
It was really good meeting you guys. So I've
Yeah,
a
like,
lot.
I really love celebrating Mental Health Day
Yeah.
like this.
Very management.
So happy World Mental Health Day, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Chalo. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
chalo.
you.